Some people are better off expressing themselves by writing a book, or perhaps writing a song. And joke's on me, I can't do either of those things. But perhaps I could make up for it by doing something a bit different, filming this, and hopefully express all of the overwhelming excitement through this short film.
According to you, our trip started when we got to Scotland. I booked this vacation, planned it for a million years, and I just had to include Dublin in the trip, even though, as I learned when I got older, that Outlander was actually not, in fact, Ireland, which I had thought my whole life Ireland was. But turns out that Scotland was really what I wanted to see, but I couldn't just snub Ireland, so I had to include Dublin in the itinerary. So it was also a little bit cheaper to do a round trip ticket to Dublin. So then I booked a round trip ticket to Dublin, and it was really cool. We saw the city, and it was wonderful, but a little less magical than I thought it would be until we got to the countryside of Ireland. And we went to Wicklow, and Wicklow was super cool. The grass was really green, and the trees were like something out of a fairy tale. And they also filmed Vikings there, and Vikings was like something really, really cool. That I had always loved to watch. It was a really cool show on History Channel with Ragnar and Floki and Greek mythology and all of the things. And to go there and see where it was filmed was really cool. And even I collected a little rock from there and put it in my pocket. And then my boyfriend and I, we took pictures by the water. And it was just really gorgeous. And it was crazy because it was raining, but still sunny. And they say that happens a lot in Ireland. And it was just really, really nice. The only thing that kind of sucked was that it was rushed because we were on a tour bus. So we got back to our hotel, which was the size of a shoebox, but it was still really nice because the bed was comfortable and it was great. But it was local to everything, so we could just walk everywhere. We went to the Guinness Storehouse. It was great. It's not like overly hyped. It was totally worth the money. And then we came back to the hotel and just booked it on a little propeller plane to Edinburgh. And when we got there, it was magical. It was just like out of a storybook. And it was just wild to see that people actually lived there. And once we got there, we kind of explored. We wanted to go to the witchery, which is super cool. I saw TikToks of it and I wanted to go, but they said it was just very expensive. And they said that you don't have to have a reservation, but they were booked until like after 10 that night. So we went to a bar called the Frankenstein Bar. And that was great. They said that there was going to be a monster show within the hour. So we waited for like an hour and a half to see like a 1.5 minute animatronic of Frankenstein, which was like, it was fine. It was cool. It was part of the experience, but that could have been like overly hyped. So then we came back and got a rental car. That was an experience. My boyfriend, he's actually decent at driving the car on roundabouts, but we still had to do like 50 minutes of detours just to get to where we were going.
We said we'd be always you and me, for better or worse, bound together.
it was great. And now we're here at Tulloch Castle. And the castle is phenomenal. It's gorgeous. It's just like something straight out of Outlander. Speaking of, we did see the Battle of Culloden, or the Culloden battlefield, and it was fantastic. Very sad that the Fraser Stone was, cut off. And of course, I'm kind of doing a loop around, but my absolute favorite thing so far of the trip, other than this castle because it's fantastic, but has been seeing Falkland because it was the coolest village, like the absolute coolest thing. And just seeing like all of the history. It's just like people actually lived there. It's not a movie set. It's like people lived there, and there's cobblestone streets, and just, everybody's just like, are you coming in? Or you walk in there and they're like, just have a seat, and, we'll get you whatever you need, and just very friendly people. And, just, it's very what you think of when you think of like the Scottish countryside with like firewood outside of the cottage and smoke coming out of the chimneys, and just so magical and beautiful. And, we were very, very, very blessed to go see that. And so now I'm just really excited for the Highlands, like the high Highlands, where we're going to go and hike and see all of the waterfalls and the cliffs and everything. And, yeah.
Leaving the castle wasn't easy, especially after having wonderful meals, the view to die for, and a high-quality scotch. But after exploring almost every square inch of that castle, both of us knew that this was only the beginning of our journey, which made it okay. The following Thursday, we drove 2.5 hours to Portree, Isle of Skye, in which most of our trip was spent. We hiked places that were absolutely unforgettable, and although some of them were more challenging than others, the view and the atmosphere were truly unbelievable. It's as if everything was computer generated, all around us. But in all reality, that was Scotland being Scotland, playing tricks on us. All Men of Store was our very first hike, and it was spectacular. Its name was earned quite literally because of its shape and forms. If you looked closely from a certain angle, you would see an old man holding his hand out from the ground. If you ever imagined being in the scene from Lord of the Rings and always wanted to experience that scenery from the movie, this would have been more than enough to fulfill those expectations. Once we returned back from the hike, we decided to explore more of the Isle of Skye. The place was well known for its colorful buildings surrounding the beach in the variety of colors. As the night would approach, you would see all of those boats return back to the shore from a long day of fishing. I can assure you, in those towns, when they say it's a fresh fish, oh, it's fresh, and they mean it. It would have been captured the very same day. That's how fresh that is. After gaining well-deserved rest, we decided to go and visit Fairy Pools, which was still a hike but perhaps a bit more forgiving and not as steep. The whole place was filled with beautiful waterfalls. They were so clear that you could literally see everything at the bottom of it, every little stone. This place truly felt magical. In fact, many years ago, stories were told that if you dip your face in the water, it would bless you with youth. So we wasted no time. The water was freezing cold. I remember diving and reaching the bottom of the water, and it would just completely knock my breath out, and I remember not being able to do anything about it. On our way back, we decided to collect a few stones from those pools, mainly because we wanted to take a piece of that world with us. Now, ironically, that morning, long before we even arrived at Fairy Pools, I remember our waitress from the hotel strongly recommended that we visit the lighthouse. She drew everything out on the map for us and explained a few things, not the least of which explaining the difficult driveway that would be required in order to get there. But the view and the peace of mind that comes from the lighthouse is very much worth the efforts. She assured us of it. As we headed towards the lighthouse, I remember being very focused on the road and didn't really observe much of a beauty around us. In fact, that driveway was probably the most difficult part of that trip, mainly due to the road looping around the mountain and there was constantly incoming traffic. As we officially arrived at the lighthouse, I was taken away with its beauty and just pure isolation. And I remember telling myself, "Man, for that view, I would make this drive all over again." As we reached the peak of the mountain that overlooked the lighthouse, I thought to myself, Scotland has been truly great to us, with its unbelievable rare weather and its captivating scenes. What can I do to show my respect for this beautiful country? At the end of the day, I'm just a visitor here, and I don't want to take any of this for granted. So, I decided to give something back to Scotland. A piece of my life that will always be remembered, that will never vanish. And perhaps the coolest thing of it all, will bring two families together. Well, and little did she know, a small something of us would forever remain in Scotland.
After the epic hike of the fairy pools and the absolute fairy tale proposal at Nice Point, the next hike destination had a lot to live up to, but did not disappoint. On our final day of this most magical isle on the itinerary was the Kerrang. The hike was the grand finale for the trip and one of the most popular and sought after hiking trails in the world. with landscapes that instantly transport you to scenes from famous movies and TV series like Lord of the Rings and, you guessed it, Outlander. This hike did in fact live up to its reputation, without fail.
The only reason I'm not gonna cry my eyes out right now is because I know we get to get married.
Remember when we said we'd stay together now until forever? Just us, just us. Said we wouldn't be like all the others, fight and hurt each other. Not us, not us. Now until forever and ever, just us, just us, just us, just us, just us.